Welcome back everybody, my name is Ella and today I'm gonna turn my Inktober illustration into a digital illustration. Now, this is not a tutorial, only my thoughts through this process, but make sure to let me know if you want me to do one of them in the future. This one was for Inktober's prompt pick, so I had this idea in mind to pick one of two magic potions, success and wealth or love and passion, and this was one of my personal favorites that I've done, so I decided to turn them into digital, and because I think it deserves to get some colors. Trust me, this process was harder than I thought. I went through some tutorials and guides on how to make a stylized potion, but ended up with a mix of all of them and making it my own. I started with tracing the illustration and actually changed the shape of the love potion, and I think it looks more relatable. I went back and forth with the colors because I was honestly a little bit confused about how should I place my colors for these potions, but as always, start with the basics. You should start with adding base colors and then think about everything else, which you'll see me do after in this video. And yes, I should have done it at the beginning, but let me explain what I did exactly. I added a gray color as a base color of potions, and I automatically started to place and render colors for liquids. I don't say that this is wrong, but it's a little bit different order than I used to do. But you can try it if you want to. If that works for you, that's fine. I used only 3 brushes in this piece: hard round brush, soft round brush, and textured brush. So you really don't need to go fancy with brushes. The only things that I was changing were opacity, shape dynamics, and size. With only these 3 options, you can truly make difference in your piece. Okay, for the shadows, I used a soft round brush, very basic, and I lowered the opacity to 20%. So I really lightly added it on the edges of the potion, and same goes for the highlights, but I think I used a 40%, yeah, 40% I believe. Don't think too much about it at this stage because you still have a lot of time to render and to work on those later in the painting process. I finally added other colors, and now it gets really interesting. I'm telling you, in some parts I was really improvising, but at the end I came to some reasonable conclusions and finally understood how it works. I won't get into too much detail about how I rendered this whole piece, but if you want me to do a little bit longer tutorial, let me know in the comments below. Because this is stylized work, which means we can go beyond some proportions, colors, you can really let your imagination work. I put a purple base for bottles, and yes, it would be easier if I put it at the beginning, but all of this is a creative process and you learn through it. I used really bright and pale blue, almost white color for the highlights and reflection, and this stage is all about getting the right reflection and highlight, achieving the look you want. So to make it easier for me, everything that is painted on the bottles is in clipping masks, meaning that you can paint or draw over the shape of your bottle or any other shape that you're painting over. That's how I painted edges. Or you can easily pixel lock it, but then you won't have it in separate layers. And to achieve these big reflections, I simply used a soft round brush in a bigger size, painted at the place I wanted, also in a bright and play blue, and then using a hard round brush for the eraser, I just deleted the extra highlight that I didn't need. And everything was on a separate layer, and I just lowered the opacity of that layer. To render the letter, I used a texture brush, and after that I started to define the shadows and make them a little bit darker. Also, I deleted the center part of the bottles using a soft round brush with lowered opacity just to get that transparency on the bottles. And from now on, it's all about details. And I played with the brush sizes, trying to find the right size or angle making the colors darker, lighter, and all of that is a learning process. So maybe it may seem that I know exactly what I was doing, but trust me, I was going through a rough process to achieve this. So usually I prepare a lot before I start something like this, but for this piece I was so not prepared, and I really was learning while I was doing it. I love to combine basic brushes like soft and hard round with some textures. That gives a little bit of a traditional touch to it, and I would say a more realistic touch. And somehow it has a soul and it's not too digital, if you know what I mean. And that's why I would highly recommend for you to use some kind of a textured brush that you like, just to spice up your digital work just a little bit. And of course, for final touches, I worked with blending modes like color dodge, soft light, overlay, and multiply. And again, I won't go into details about them, but they can help you to define those highlights and shadows and to give these potions that stylized fantasy look. For the end, I added some bubbles and hearts for the love potion because it doesn't have a sign that says love like it has for success. And with soft round brush, I just added those god rays for the light and added some sparkles, added another layer for the background, used that texture brush, and that's actually it for this piece. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and like for more videos like this. Till the next one, see you and bye.